downloaded the Zoom app onto my personal phone, so I'm trying to figure out how to throw a profile picture or something up here.
You're fine.
Lori, do you have to do a verbal roll call, at least for the people that just show up with a first name?
Sure, I can do that.
You'll need to unmute everyone if you're trying to do that.
I do have at least first names and last names where indicated. So maybe people that don't include your last name, if you could stay on standby and just when I call your first name, just shout out your last name, please. Thank you. Can I do that while we're waiting?
Yeah, go ahead, Lori. I'm going to start in 2 minutes.
Okay, Alfred, could you help me with your last name?
Luger.
Carney, Alfred Carney, K-A-R-N-E-Y.
Wonderful, thank you. The other Roger, not Hopkins, can you help me with your last name?
Bagnall,
Can you spell, please?
B-A-G-N-A-L-L.
Thank you. How about Barbara, not Lob, the other Barbara?
On mute.
We'll come back to that, Barbara. How about Phil, C? Phil, can you shout out your last name with an unmute?
You'll be seen behind me. You're right there.
All right, Phil, can you try again?
He sent
No,
a text.
no, he has no microphone.
Okay.
Could you print your name on the in the message section?
Thank you, Phil. Gotcha.
The chat button, Quinn, so someone
Right.
could type their name there.
How about Jeff?
This is Jeff Babbitt.
Babbitt, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's try one more time for Barbara, not Lob. Barbara, if you can unmute and share your last name, that would be helpful for the minutes. Okay. Pat, I have everybody else for the time being.
Who's Ginny iPad?
Oh, sorry, Ginny, sorry.
Illy, I-L-L-I.
Thank you, Ginny.
Thanks, Lori.
Okay. Yes.
It is 10:05, and before we call the meeting to your order, I just have a couple of things that I would say. First of all, welcome to our virtual annual meeting. It was planned for the spring, but obviously based on the pandemic and all of the issues and guidelines for all of us, it was in our best interest to wait until this time period. And even still, we're not able to get together officially, but we can officially get together as a virtual meeting. I'd like to ask all of us to take a moment of silence for two reasons. First of all, for all of the heroes and the victims of 9/11, 2001. We don't want to lose track of our history and our past so that we can learn from it and also respect those heroes and also those that are victims. The second issue, while we're having a moment of silence, is Ann Bailey is not here today. She's one of our board members. She is attending a memorial service for her partner, Jim Moody. He was very instrumental in the Genesee Valley Hiking Club and also hiking in general. So if I could just pause for a moment of silence for both of those. Thank you. There are quite a few people here on the call. Lori will be able to tell me that number in just a minute. I know all of you are muted at this point. Scott Geiger is going to talk a little bit about the etiquette for the meeting, and then I'll call the meeting to order.
All right, thanks, Pat. I have just now muted everyone. If you do need to speak, you will need to unmute yourself, but please keep yourself on mute while others are talking, so in case there's background noise, we're not hearing any of it. You can also utilize the chat if you have questions and you don't have a microphone or you don't want to unmute, you can chat. We'll keep an eye on that as well. You do not have to have your video on for this if you don't want to. I know some people are a little camera shy, so you can turn it off if you wish to. Also, please note we are recording the annual meeting and we will post the video at a later point. There are a number of people that unfortunately could not join us today who wanted to, and so we're making the video available to them to listen to and watch at a later point. That's pretty much it. If there's any questions, you can throw them in chat, unmute, or if not, we'll turn it back over to Pat, and I have to find you, Pat, to unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. I think you'll need to unmute yourself.
Yep, thank you, Scott.
Yep.
So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Again, since all of you are muted, I'm just looking at names. So I'll just call you out for a motion and a second. If you have an issue with doing that, just unmute yourself and say that you don't want to do that. So do I have a motion to call the meeting to order? Frank Reese motions and Nancy Luger seconds. All in favor? Actually, I'm going to say it. Is there anybody to the opposed? And then you can just unmute yourself. So the meeting is called to order. Willa Powell is joining us while she's attending another meeting. She told us she has until 10:10. So what I would like to do is to turn it over to Willa, since she is our treasurer and she can give us some financial information. So Willa, are you still with us?
Yes, thank you. Just had to find the unmute button. And it is already 10:10, so I'll talk really fast. Most of the financial reports are covered by Lisa, our VP for Finance, but as your treasurer, I just want to comment on cash flow. This has been a highly unusual year. We anticipated with the budget we approved at the end of last year, we anticipated having to pull funds out of our investment in order to invest in our infrastructure and our marketing and create a new path forward for FLT. And we should have, at this point, had to withdraw considerable funds from Carpus, our investment account. As it turned out with COVID, we had access to the payroll protection funds, a grant/loan program, a grant that under certain circumstances might have had to be reimbursed as an interest-free loan, but as I think that we were able to, and Quinn can talk to this more extensively, but we were, I think, able to use it entirely as grant funding. And revenues are up. People are joining, people are buying maps, and expenses are down. So as it turns out, we are not tapping as deeply into Carpus as was anticipated in our budget process. This is not the kind of year we're going to be able to repeat, and nor would we be able to predict nor are we going to be able to predict what next year is going to look like based on this year. We'll have to use previous year's models in order to develop our next year's budget, I think. So, absent questions, that concludes my report.
Thanks, Willa. Is there anybody that has questions for the treasurer? If you do, you can, Willa, I know, has to move on in what she's doing. So if you do have questions, feel free to write them down in our live chat section, and we will answer those as soon as we can. Thanks, Willa. Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, now I would like to move back to following the agenda. I really have made my welcome and opening comments to you. Again, I really appreciate all of us taking this Saturday morning to have one more virtual meeting, but this is important to the Finger Lakes Trail as it sets us up for our future in 2021. I'm going to turn it over to our secretary, Lori Chiarelli. Lori?
Good morning. I've included a link to the 2019 draft minutes that throughout the meeting you may take a look at by utilizing the link in the chat session. We will circle back to see if anybody has any amendments or additions to those before we accept the minutes for 2019. Pat, we're going to count, that'll hold us for the moment. So Pat will come back and facilitate our next segment of the meeting.
Thanks, Lori. So as Lori pointed out, there is a link in the chats that will take you to last year's minutes. We won't approve them right at this moment in time, but I will place it towards the end of the meeting so that anybody that would like to can review those minutes, and then we'll look for approval for them. What I'd like to do is to introduce our outgoing board members who have served with us. We call them the class of 2020. There were three members from that particular class, plus an appointment, I believe. So first of all, I would like to thank Donna Flood for her years of service with the Finger Lakes Trail. She will also be joining in the new slate as well. Dave Newland has been with us again for several years, has been instrumental in moving us forward through a variety of activities. Dave, I think I saw your name on the line. You will be missed, and hopefully you'll find some niche along the way with the Finger Lakes Trail to keep you engaged with us. But thank you, Dave, for your service. And I believe I also saw Mike Ogden on the call. Mike has served with us in a variety of terms, in a variety of roles. He's represented the Onondaga 80K. Mike, correct me if I missed that, but I believe that's correct. We appreciate your time and your service here with us for the Finger Lakes Trail. So those three board members will be ending their service as the class of 2020. So on behalf of Finger Lakes Trail, we thank you first for your service in leadership roles, and also wish you well and be strong and be safe and healthy. The next item is to vote on the new board members placed in nomination. Our nominating committee made some selections for us to consider. I believe Lori Andreyka, yeah, there you are, Lori, you're on the call. So if you'll unmute yourself and you can tell us who the class of 2022 is.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We have Donna Flood, who is returning. We have Pete Hagmeyer, who wasn't able to be on the call today. And we also have Willa, who spoke earlier. And we have someone from the Seneca Nation, Sharon Ray. And my
And also Lori Andreka. Can't forget Lori. So that is the slate of nominees that have been presented by the nominating committee. There were no nominations from the general membership that needed to be submitted to the office 10 days prior to our meeting. So on behalf of the nominating committee, I would like to, let me see if I can get it right this year, to Deb Nero, I need help. I see you looking there. Can you help me out here? Can you unmute and help me?
What am I helping you with, Pat? Exactly.
Oh, what is the words? To take one vote, to ask the secretary to cast one vote on behalf of the nominating committee. I think I have it correct.
There, you just need moral support, that's all.
Thank you. So let's see, Scott Brooks, if you would be willing to put that forth as a nomination, and Mike Ogden, if you would second that. Is there any further discussion? So if there's anybody opposed to that slate, if you would step forward now. It looks like we have a new class of 2022. So thank you, Donna, Pete,
Pat?
Lori, and Willa,
Pat.
and Sharon. Yes.
Good morning,
Lori.
Pat. It's Lori Shirley, the secretary.
Yes.
I should include the votes received by the office, both electronic and paper-based.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we did have 48 votes for the current slate of candidates, no opposition, and no incomplete votes.
Thank you. Does that include online and paper votes?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is a change in our a proposed change in our bylaws. It has to do with the mission statement. The old mission statement read, the mission of the Finger Lakes Trail Conference is to build, protect, enhance, and promote a continuous footpath across New York State forever. The proposal is the mission of the Finger Lakes Trail Conference is to build, protect, enhance, and promote a continuous footpath across New York State. No change there. The change was for the enjoyment and health of residents and visitors forever. So that particular addition is a summary of our 2020 strategic plan that the board went through back a year ago. It was approved by the board as an area that we now need to focus on, but at the same time not relinquish our past. So it truly is focusing on the visitors and the people who are the trail users on the trail. Yes, we need to continue what we have been doing, but our focus now is who are these people that are out using the trail. So that's basically the rationale behind it. The board is recommending to the membership that we approve it. So that's the background. Looking just generally around the room here, I'm looking for a nomination. Dave Newman, if you would nominate to make the motion, and Mary Coffin, if you would second it.
Okay, I move we make the motion.
And I will happily second it.
Any further discussion? So in the absence of further discussion, Lori, can you give us a sense of the absentee votes?
Absolutely. We had between electronic and paper ballots, 45 in approving the proposed bylaw change, 1 opposing, and 1 incomplete.
Okay, thank you. So I will call the question for the people in attendance. If you are opposed to it, would you now speak? Let me know that. Any abstentions? So the motion passes. Thank you, everybody. I think it will help us point the organization through our mission in the correct place for our future. So thank you, everybody. The next item is the report of financial status. We've already heard from Willa. Lisa Barrett, I believe, is on the call. Lisa, if you could unmute and give us a financial statement.
Good morning, everyone. As Willa mentioned, the silver lining around the pandemic is that everybody's getting outside and enjoying this beautiful area, this beautiful state we all share. And from this time last year, our membership revenues is up 12% and our map sales are up 84%. So it's pretty amazing what it has done for us. Quinn's worked tirelessly getting us funding, and that's really helped in these uncertain times. I want to thank the members of the Finance Committee. We meet monthly by teleconference and discuss the monthly financial statements. We spent a lot of time the last year revising the financial policies and practices. We submitted 6 new ones to the full board at their May meeting, and those were all approved. The biggest thing that we did in the last year was we created the capital equipment fund, and we continue to work on those policies. Now, like I said, I wanted to thank the members of the Finance Committee, Kathy Ackerson, Jim Burke, Dave Newman, Irene Zabo, Willa, our treasurer, and Pat and Quinn joined us for those monthly meetings, and we're in pretty good shape considering we have no idea what's going on. So fingers crossed, next year we'll be all together again. That's it.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
And Lisa, by the way, is our Vice President of Finances. I neglected to tell people that that's your role in the organization. Thank you for your service as well. Does anybody have any questions on the finances? We'll try to answer those now. Or you can put it in the live chat section and we will answer them when we can get a chance to.
Pat?
Yes, Roger.
Or Lisa, are the financial statements available to members?
I've often wondered that. I see that they're not on the. Does the full membership have access to that document library that the board does?
No, that's for board members only.
Okay.
In being transparent with our membership, all of our minutes to the meetings are public documents. So they're always part of our record. So the answer to your question is yes, they would be available to the public.
I presume that's on request.
It certainly would be, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Lisa. The next item is a report of board activity. And let me just say, as everybody else knows and has been living, this has been a very unusual year. All of us have been trying to survive and be healthy, taking care of ourselves and our communities through this pandemic. As a result, most, if not all of our activities, our in-person activities, have been stopped. As a board, we have met a couple of times through virtual meetings. We've found that it's an effective tool to gather people from across New York State to sit down and hold meetings. I also understand the value of face-to-face meetings. So in our future, we will definitely be mixing, Zoom meetings with in-person meetings. Now, when I reflect back, besides the pandemic, which basically slowed everything down, I do want to say that as a Finger Lakes Trail Conference, we did spend time talking about before this, back in November 2019, talking about a 2020 strategic plan. And the board spent a good half of a year determining what we believed was a strategic plan for our organization. And we adopted that and have moved forward. One of the key elements of the strategic plan was hiring a marketing and communications director, which we did. And we found an excellent candidate. Her name is Christy Post. Christy is not with us today because she is doing some training in Lake Placid on behalf of the Finger Lakes Trail. I would like you to be able to see her report at some point, and might suggest that we'll give you an opportunity to join one of our board meetings where she actually does a presentation so that you can see what her accomplishments have been. We had some very clear objectives for her first year, but unfortunately with the pandemic, it just didn't work out. So we will again take that in stride and move forward with tasking her with the objectives that are attainable based on this pandemic. I think that those are probably the most important pieces related to board activity. So what I would like to do is ask that Quinn give us a report for the remainder of the Finger Lakes Trail Conference. And then after his report, we'll open it up for questions for the organization. So Quinn, if you would unmute and just comment about the activities of the Finger Lakes Trail.
Well, regrettably, there has not been much activity because of COVID. I mean, virtually every activity that we conduct every year has been canceled. We've had a few that have come up. Christy has established the beginning of a relationship with the Steuben Brewing Company. We recently launched a Finger Lakes Trail beer. It's an IPA produced by them. It's got the Finger Lakes logo on it, and it says Finger Lakes Trail IPA. I'm not sure the exact name, but
I think it says Finger Lakes Trail Town Ale.
That's it. Thank you.
Because it's got the Trail Town logo on it.
Yes, the one with the hiker with the dog in the backpack walking across the trail, and it's a great looking logo for the beer can and for the Trail Town. So it's a nice marriage of the two. We had hoped to launch the adventure tours this year. That got canceled. The annual meeting was canceled until now. The county hike series was canceled. And so we're hoping to keep all of those going forward. I know Christy has some plans on how to change those going forward. I remain very optimistic that things are going in the right direction. The question was raised about the loan through the SBA. The SBA still has not given approval to apply for converting that to a grant. The rumor is that for small accounts such as ours, small dollar numbers, it's just going to be an automatic thing, but still no paperwork to process yet. So I expect it will be a grant. And if you have questions, I'll answer them.
Let me open up the room to any questions that you have for Quinn or myself, or just generally for the organization.
Hey, Pat, this is Mike Ogden here. I do have one comment. We have one activity we haven't canceled this year. The Earth Market hike is coming up September 20th. And that's going to be on the Onondaga 1 trail map, and 9 o'clock Shackham Pond. So that's one thing we will be doing FLT. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Deb, you want to comment about Hiking 101?
Yes, we've also been doing Hiking 101 this year. There's 6 of them. The timing did get rearranged, so they've been running late summer this fall. Relatively successful. We had somewhere between 1 and 9 hikers on the various hikes. And Lori Andrake and I also led the hikes for the hike bike happy hour thing at the brewery when they released the beer. And those were very successful as well. And then the brewery wants to do the hike happy hour thing on a monthly basis year round. So we tied that in with the Hiking 101 hike. So I think that'll keep going too.
Very nice. Peg?
Yeah.
Peg Fuller, then Roger.
The other thing is, okay, good. I just lost my train of thought with unmuting. Go to Roger, come back to me.
Sure, Peg. Roger.
Okay, thanks, Pat. I'm sure if Christy were here, she would talk about, or she should talk about her newsletter that's coming out monthly. I believe it's called Footnotes. Is that true?
That
Yes.
is correct.
And that's been well received. And she's also scheduled 2 online presentations. One was on ticks and how to live with them. And the other was on what it means to deal with emergencies in the back country. And both of these were attended by over 100 people. These were Zoom presentations and were quite well received. There is another one that I hope will be well received, which will be Scott Geiger and myself talking about our maps. And I believe that's next Thursday. So if you're not getting the newsletter Footnotes, let the office know. And if you haven't been to any of these online presentations, next Thursday is a chance to sample one. And we hope to have the recordings of those sessions on the website at some point.
Roger, I think you find Footnotes by FLT Footnotes is actually the complete name for it.
Thanks, Linda. I might also add that, Peg, I'll come right back to you. I might also add that Christy started the FLT 50, hoping to have, I think it was approximately 250 people sign up. I believe the last count, if my memory serves me correctly, was around 784 people. So that's good news as well.
Her report says it's up to 950 or something.
Again, this conversation certainly needs to go out to the membership. I will talk with Christy about how to get all of the information out to you in the general membership. Peg, how about it?
Yeah, no, I was just going to talk about the stuff that Christy was doing, especially the upcoming webinar on Thursday. I think it's important for the public to know that the FLT is moving forward with a lot of activities, even during COVID. So there's a lot for our members and potential members to attend from us.
Thanks, Peg.
I'd like to remind people that there's still one more Alley Cat. It's going to be a little unusual, but October 5 through 9 down in Solon on M20.
Thank you, Mary. Dave Newman.
And I was just going to remind people that we actually were able to hold 2 Alley Cat projects this year. Peter Wybron was the project manager. Mike Ogden was the construction manager. We replaced a very damaged roof on the Hesse lean-to make it functional and safe again. And we created a new Kinnikadea lean-to to ultimately replace the one that's there that needed it. These were done thoughtfully, given that we needed a crew who occasionally needed to obviously work together closely to erect the structures. It was a lot of fun and it felt like a bit of normalcy. So we haven't had as many work projects as in most years, but between those 2 and the one Mary just discussed, we are making progress.
Thanks, Dave. Let me circle back to the minutes from 2019. You've had an opportunity, if you wanted to review those. Again, I'm looking for a motion to approve, and I'm just looking at Peter Wybron, if you'll make that motion. And also, let's see, let me go to the second page here and find somebody. Polly McClure, if you would second that.
Yeah, I'll so move.
Thank you, Peter. And Polly, if it's fine with you, is that okay?
It's okay.
Thank you, Polly. Any further discussion? Is there anybody opposed to the minutes as written? Any abstentions? Then they've been passed. That ends our agenda for this morning for our annual meeting. Lori, can you tell me approximately how many people are on the meeting?
29.
Sure. Who
Did you
helped?
say how many, Lori?
I counted 40.
40. Wow. This is great attendance. I would be very interested in any feedback that you have related to the meeting. You can send it through this live chat, or you can send it to the office, and we'll certainly be using this format for future meetings for a variety of reasons. So for our board members, what we're going to do is, let me see what time it is. It is 10:38. At 10:50, we'll start our board meeting. So you do need to leave this particular Zoom meeting and join at the different one specifically for the board meeting. So,
Pat Monahan,
yes, Lori.
we do need, before you run us all off, we need one more motion to adjourn the meeting when you're ready.
Thank you, Lori. So anybody that is a board member will start at 10:50 and use the other link that was sent to you. So do I have a motion for adjournment? And I'm looking at David and a second from, let's see, let me get on the other page. Let's see, Donna Noteware. Any further discussion? I'm sure everybody is in favor to go out and enjoy the rest of their day. So again, thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Stay connected to the Finger Lakes Trail. We are alive and well and strong. Thank you, everybody.